Now we want to reintroduce our guest once again, the candidate for Lieutenant Governor, the Libertarian candidate, Kathie Glass. Thanks again for being here this morning.
Great to be here.
Great to be here in the Hill Country. Have you had a chance to kind of look around and see how beautiful our area is here?
This is not my first trip to Kerrville. I've been coming here for years, but I haven't been here for quite a while. But it is as beautiful as it ever was. It's peaceful. It's a little more humid than the last time I was here.
Yes, and our river, our Guadalupe River, is typically clear, but since all this rain, it's just
really
not
stirred it up.
It's really kind of stirred it up.
I went up to Mountain Home area the other day on the other side of Hunt, and it's really clear. The headwaters, I think is what they call it, is really clear up here. So down here, it's got a little murky, but it's still a wonderful place to live.
Water is a big issue in this part of the country. So I don't, we are always talking about water.
Exactly.
And, what's more valuable, water or diamonds? And
That's
I say water. But anyway, there were a lot of issues discussed last night at the forum, and a lot of them being the border security, budgets, things like that. So let's start with border security and what more can we be doing? I think people are a little nervous.
We can do a lot more. In fact, I don't know anything we're really doing to secure the border. Border security is a security issue. It's a property rights issue. It's a sovereignty issue. It has many reasons why we have to secure the border, and we have to do it ourselves because the federal government, well, it's his job, but it's not going to do it. We know that. So it's time to stop talking and to put it into action. My plan is to secure the border using our own Texas State Guard. And that's important that we use the State Guard, not the National Guard, because that is something that is under the control of the governor and can never be taken out of our state without the governor's consent. We need to retrain, re-equip and our State Guard, give them a mission, but put them on the border, the places where we know the border is porous and people are coming across and trespassing where they shouldn't be. But we need to do that, and we could do that fairly quickly. Our governor could do that without any legislative enactment, but he won't because he talks about border security, but he only says that the federal government is not doing its job. Well, he's not doing his job. We need to secure the border using our Texas State Guard and do it now.
We don't hear that much about the Texas State Guard. It sounds like employment opportunities for Texans is what it's sounding to me, because I don't know how many there are. Do you have any idea how many Texas State
No, but
Guard?
We need more for this mission because our Texas State Guard is a precious gem, and it's years old, centuries old, but it has fallen into disuse. We need it for this purpose. We need it to be beefed up for border security, but for other things such as emergency response. We don't need FEMA to come in if we have another hurricane, which we will, and tell us how to do things. Try to take away our guns the way they did in New Orleans when Hurricane Katrina came in, and hand out ice in Houston the way they did in Hurricane Ike. We don't need federal government coming in telling us where we can go to pick up ice. We can do whatever we need to do as far as hurricane or disaster relief is with our Texas State Guard. And there are other reasons to have a very vigorous and effective State Guard, but border security and disaster relief are just two that come to mind.
That's good.
Well, you said earlier that you think the Texas State Guard needs to be retrained. What do you mean by retrain? What do they need to know?
Well, they need to know how to do their job. They need to know what a state militia is, what its parameters are, what it can and can't do, how to work effectively as a team, just the sort of training that you would think any organization like this would need to know. Yeah. It's not just traffic control at an air show.
Oh, yeah.
Would you advocate the state of Texas to mirror the Arizona immigration law that's up in the air right now?
No, I wouldn't, because my approach is different. I understand the sentiment that led to the passing of the Arizona law. People want to see something done, and they're so relieved to see anyone starting to do anything that they're on board with it, even though that particular technique might not be the best. I think my approach is better because if you want to secure the border, secure it at the border. Don't wait until the people have come across and scattered to the four winds and gotten entrenched into the society and then try to identify them and remove them. No, just stop it at the border.
So what would your solution be for the illegals that are already here, though?
Well, the second part of my plan is to eliminate all taxpayer-funded benefits for people who are not citizens. And according to my state senator, that would be 25% of our budget. Think of that.
Whoa.
25% of our $180 billion budget. Now, if his figures are right, and I have no reason to doubt him on this, that is an amazing amount of money that could be used for so many other needs that we have.
I know you got a question. I want to follow up with that. What benefits are these illegals, and how did a non-citizen get benefits, period? I don't understand that.
Well, we don't check.
I mean, I can barely get a cup of coffee without an ID these days.
It's
so what benefits are so healthcare? Okay.
Education, free public education. And the reason we're doing that, and this is relatively recently, since I've been in Texas, we did not used to provide free public education for people who are not citizens.
Right.
But a United States Supreme Court case, Filer v. Doe, said that we had to. Well, I read that case because I want to know, how did that come about? And can we relitigate that? And yes, we can. It was a very poorly litigated case. The reasoning was poor. But two things in that case. One is that they said education is not a fundamental right, so a state does not have to provide it if they don't want to. But second, since Texas did elect to provide a free public education for citizens, they could not articulate. They needed to articulate some reason why they weren't providing it to non-citizens, and they didn't do that. The case said, if they'd said, well, it's because we can't afford it or for any other reason, then that would have passed scrutiny. But we didn't say anything as a reason for it. Well, now the reason why we would not provide it is we can't afford it.
That's right.
So we can go back, meet the test that the Supreme Court has laid out, and stop providing a free public education to people who shouldn't be here at all.
Well, it sounds like the money we would save doing that would make up for the $18 billion supposed budget deficit we're going to have next year,
right.
Which there's been talk about casino gambling and all kinds of dog racing and horse racing to try to raise money to make up for that budget deficit. How do you see that?
You're exactly right. What we would save just on this one move would take care of that $18 billion if that's what it is.
If that's right.
They sugarcoat almost everything. But that shortfall right there. And have more to spare. But as far as casino gambling, yes, I think if we need more revenues, and I'm not convinced that we do, I think we need to cut spending. It's not that we have the state of Texas takes away too little of our money. It's that it overspends. Whatever it gets, it spends that and more. But to the extent that we need to reduce some areas of taxation and then take it out from casino gambling, I think that's something we ought to consider. It's a better approach.
So basically on the school issue, you're saying have sympathy but not empathy. Is that right?
Well, I'm saying we can't afford it.
Right.
We have needs. We have limited resources, much as we would like to think we're just made of money. We're not.
Well, it's like the state of Texas is no different than individual families right now that are saying, we can't afford it. What do we need to do to cut, our personal budget? Same thing with the state.
We have to do that.
That's right.
It's just a fact of reality. You can't ignore it, but it doesn't make it go away.
That's right.
What is, we saw an article the other day, Andy, how much money are they predicting that the casinos in Texas would put back into the system?
Well, it wasn't quite the $18 billion deficit, but it was
it was
like 10 to 4
million or something.
Yeah, it was quite a bit. It was quite a bit.
But a lot of people say the casinos have saved the state of Oklahoma.
I know you gave me the stats on that. Well, let's talk about healthcare a little bit. We have about 4